Yo. Big Kish back up in here, man. I got to tap in with Rapaholics to see his perspective on the Vlad exposing Drake in them Hollywood Hills or Hills Hollywood or Hidden Hills, whatever the name is. He always hiding something. But yeah, I just want to see his perspective on it, and I'm going to leave a link in the description because you know they going to start running down on Drake. Yeah. If you're a big fan of Drake, hey, I don't know what you're going to do. You better go gather up all the albums and you're going to have to go reminisce. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because they're about to run down on him. But Rapaholic, he going to add something to it. He going to bring something that I haven't, brought to the forefront yet. And that's why we're going to check this out right quick. Y'all know I'm like holding y'all. Without further ado, let's get it.
Lobries and Gentlegrams. In today's episode of Lobry in Gentleland, the Canadian Corcus clobbering, California bell-bottom bone-crushing kung fu killer Kenny K. Lamar allegedly labeled Drake as a prom queen predator, a teenage fever mutant turtle on the knockout song Not Like Us. Now, the maple syrup mob boss Toronto's Taylor Swift is taking it to trial, saying UMG knew the song was cap, but still put it on the map. And today, the grimace gram gobbling Big Mac Snackademics and Federal Frontier villainous Vlad TV were spilling some suspicious sauce surrounding the secrets of the spiraling sexy red stepsister stunt double.
Villainous Vlad. We got one for Vlad, y'all.
So let's unpack what they had to say about Drake's strange escapades back in the Calabasas days. And I mean, he said it himself on Taylor Made. Talk about me liking young girls. Well, now you got the worst person in the world talking about that, the Fed himself, DJ Vlad. And there's some definitely disturbing things to unpack here. But first, if you made it this far, drop a like and subscribe because you are a star. Now, Lobries and Gentlegrams.
Listen, man, Vlad know people that know people that know people. Yeah, Vlad, hey, look, He come from that cloth. He come from that cloth of them lawyers and judges. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Them J Wish people. Yeah, I'm gonna just start calling them J Wish. Yeah, that's better.
It's been an insane, intense week. Big Mac Snackademics and his federal friends. After saying Kendrick Lamar killed hip-hop, making it all about battle rap, it seems like academics, No Jumper, Vlad, and the rest of that side of hip-hop media have realized that if Kendrick truly is on top and fans want to start hearing more about the music rather than the RICO cases, they're gonna have nothing to report on. So they've been working overtime to make sure that their spot in media and their empires don't come crumbling down. And they're doing interviews on all of each other's platforms. We got podcasts with Snackademics, DJ Vlad, Traplor Ross, Wack 100, No Jumper, where they were talking about Big U's RICO case for 4 hours straight. I watched a Big Mac Snackademics live stream the other night where he tried touching on Kendrick Lamar's music for about 5 minutes, but couldn't help himself from completely switching subjects and start talking about court cases again. He also had No Jumper saying that he's going broke, asking for his fans to spend more money on his channel. They're working in overtime right now. That's my point. And amidst all this, Vlad and academics linked up for an interview where they spoke on some pretty disturbing things related to Drake, or at least Vlad did. Of course, the Champagne Petition Padres princess, the Graham Glazing Grimace Shake, did his best to defend Drake, but you know when something comes from Vlad, how can I put this? It's very solid investigative work, to say the least. And shout out to Jalopy Bungus also. He's a great YouTuber. Suggest you guys check him out. He gets very surgical with his videos.
Hey, shout out to Jalopy. He gets surgical. For real.
Videos. I definitely didn't sit through this entire 4-hour Snackademics and Vlad interview, but he brought a lot of this to my attention. So I'll link his video in the description on this subject and we'll review some of the things he said as well.
Hey, that's love right there, man. That's love for real.
So first, Big Mac Snackademics tells Vlad, after all the allegations that were made in Not Like Us, after Drake suing over the song because now he believes the entire world thinks he's a PDF, after jokes were literally made on the Oscar stage about Drake being a PDF, the entire world singing A minor while Kendrick performed it at the Super Bowl and the Grammys, academics is surprised that no woman ever came forward and said, yeah, Drake is a weirdo. I mean, we saw with the Diddy case, which we'll touch on shortly in this video, like the second one victim came forward in that case, a bunch of civil lawsuits were filed. When it rains, it pours in the land of legal issues. And it's also like, when a case is built and when the public realizes this person did horrible things, a lot of other real victims feel comfortable moving forward and telling their truth. But then at the same time, you also get people who might want a quick paycheck. So you'll have a combination of both. A lot of real victims who now feel comfortable and a lot of people chasing a check to take advantage of the damage that's already been done to your reputation. So yeah, academics, tells Vlad he's kind of surprised that no one ended up coming forward about Drake, especially if you think about it, right? Drake is now suing over this song, but not one person has ever actually formally come out and said Drake is a PDF. Not one victim so far.
I will say, though, you know what I was impressed by? With all this and say not like us and everything, people talking about Drake, not one chick even erroneously filed a lawsuit or like, I thought there was going to be a few of those to take advantage of the moment. And there's been not one person.
Look, hey, look. Remember I told y'all about that foot? When Vlad getting that information, he about to get itchy. He start wiggling that foot. He gonna do like this, and then he gonna blast off on you. Check it out. Watch this. Watch that foot wiggle while cause he looking through Act. He looking straight through him. Like, yeah, I sit there. No, you lying. You know what I'm saying?
So far.
I will say, though, you know what I was impressed by? With all this and say not like us and everything, people talking about Drake, not one chick even erroneously filed a lawsuit or like, I thought there was going to be a few of those to take advantage of the moment. And there's been not one person that's accused Drake of anything.
And Vlad,
Act was trying to get some backing. He was trying to get some backing. Vlad was like, "Nah, I got the call from the higher uppers. We not backing that no more. Nah, he's done. He's cut off. He's about to get whacked. Yeah, I'm telling you, he about to be done."
Vlad stops academics there and says he personally heard that when Drake was living in Calabasas in the Hidden Hills in LA, there was definitely some funny business going on there, to say the least.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if some shit starts coming out. Because from what I understand, when Drake first moved to like Hidden Hills, like they were wilding out in that house, and him and his homies were doing some shit that probably got covered up somehow. You know what I'm saying? And now maybe people got paid.
And I mean, we'll look into that a bit further later, right? Because he makes the interesting point in that it's possible Drake and his friends paid off people who they may have involved in some, deranged activities. I guess we'll put it at that.
We all seen them newspaper articles. The girl got paid like what, 100,000, something like that, or he was paying one chick like 15,000 a month or something for the boy. It was another boy out there. It's another girl and another boy out there. He been paying a lot.
And we know if there is a place where, some weird stuff would go on like that, it would be in Hollywood, right? And this was during a time when Drake was at the height of his career. We did hear some stories about, Drake having weird interactions with, the Millie Bobby Browns and some other ones we'll get into shortly. That's where, Not Like Us, the PDF allegations were fueled from. And this was throughout the time that Drake was living in Calabasas in Hollywood. If you don't remember, that's, the same time that Drake made Sicko Mode, where he talked about being right up the block from Kanye, creeping down the block, made a right, cut the lights, paid a price. This was also the time that he really adopted that, phony Montana mob boss persona. So if there was any time in Drake's career where he felt like he was absolutely untouchable, it was definitely during that, 2016 to 2019 era where he was living in Calabasas, because he did put that house on the market for sale shortly after. We'll review that, but first, academics, of course, comes to Drake's defense, saying that, they were probably just partying, right? Like,
so he probably cleaned the house up. He probably cleaned it up, bleached it down for all the, trying to get the specimens out of there and all that.
These were just casual parties like, anyone would do in Hollywood. But Vlad cuts him off to say, no, like, this was a situation, at least from what Vlad had heard, that people were paid off to stay silent. And he compares it to the R. Kelly situation, which is a crazy individual to compare Drake to, right? Just based off how horrible of the crimes that R. Kelly committed were, right? If Drake committed even a fraction of those, like, he should be locked up for a very long time. He was saying, like, R. Kelly suffered the consequences because video footage was released where, you could actually see the horrible acts R. Kelly was doing. It wasn't just speculation or rumors. And I guess Drake was calculated enough to at least pay people off to make sure if things were going down, no one ended up talking, no videos ended up being leaked. It was the same thing with Diddy, right? Like, Cassie, had that horrible civil lawsuit. I say horrible because the allegations made against Diddy were horrible, but things got amplified when the world saw that video footage of Diddy actually assaulting Cassie in a hotel. Same thing with Chris Brown and Rihanna, right? Like, once the world saw those pictures of Rihanna, there was no hiding anymore. At this point, we haven't actually seen any physical proof of Drake doing anything suspicious, except, of course, that very strange video of him on stage with that, woman, whatever. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, but there's been no, like, concrete proof of Drake being a PDF, and that's why UMG, in their defense against Drake's lawsuit, is saying Kendrick's song was all hyperbole, right? It was exaggeration. It was just used in a rap battle as some sort of diss against Drake. It wasn't the truth.
I remember this partying. No, not like.
I heard some stories.
See that?
You know?
Nah. You got millions, I got millions. I ain't gonna sit up here and just be agreeing with everything you got to say. That's Vlad's standpoint. Nah. You ain't about to slide that. And I know how to speak, Ninja. I ain't somebody who don't know how to sit up here and speak my message. I ain't one of them ones. See, bruh so used to getting people to come up there, not know what they talk about, and he just be rapping circles around them. Vlad said, nah. No, hold on.
It was just used in a rap battle as some sort of diss against Drake. It wasn't the truth.
I remember this partying. No, not like.
I heard some stories, you know, but and I'm not going to mention them.
I never was getting it in type.
I mean, some things could happen around that if certain people really started to make a lot of noise, but I think
maybe he's paying them off. Like,
I think Drake is just paying them off, and so I mean, listen. I mean, if you look at the R. Kelly situation, that whole case hinged around the video.
But if this is true, it paints a very different picture of why Drake is filing this lawsuit. Why that song triggered him so much. The fact that he knows a song like that being as big as it is puts not only the risk on Drake's reputation of, maybe big brand deals not wanting to work with him anymore, maybe people now believing, the allegations Kendrick made in that song to be linked to Drake, but it also opens up the floodgates for a lot of potential victims, a lot of people potentially just looking for a payday, anyone in general to basically come forward and say, yeah, Drake did some suspect things, and the world will believe it a lot more because we now, heard it in that song amplified on a global level. When people question, what is Drake's true endgame with this lawsuit, I personally don't think it's money, right? Like, Drake has probably billions of dollars at this point. His old catalog makes more money from streaming than the 60s, 70s, and 80s catalogs all combined. All music from those decades combined on streaming platforms. Like, he can be rich off his previous hits. I don't think he's suing UMG over money. I don't think he's suing UMG to expose, record labels use bots and fake streams and fake radio play, and this is all some big manipulative tactic. No. Drake looks out for himself, right? This is something to do with Drake trying to uphold his reputation and get some big personal leverage. At first, I personally thought
Drake is about me.
Thought that he was probably suing to actually get out of his contract with UMG because they own a lot of his older music. That's the music that really makes him a lot of money. I figured, okay, if he actually gets, victory in his case, logically he'll be allowed to get out of his contract with UMG, right? Because if UMG really was, boosting artificially the numbers of Not Like Us and making it this, artificial hit to destroy Drake's reputation, like if he wins, that's what the judge is essentially thinking, then the judge logically will grant Drake access out of his current contract, and then he could go to another label where he has more leverage. He already signed his OVO label to Sony Records, so maybe he wants to go there and basically have more ownership of his music, collect more profits, make more money, etc. But now I'm thinking with these comments that there might be something bigger at play, right? If Drake wins this lawsuit, the lawsuit is on the basis that Not Like Us is spreading misinformation. Defamation is lies, of course, meant to ruin your reputation, right? And if he wins, it means that UMG acknowledges they knew the allegations in that song were false, but still published and promoted it anyways. But hey, even if he doesn't win the lawsuit, UMG's case is still that Kendrick wasn't actually talking about Drake literally being a PDF, right? In UMG's motion to dismiss, in their request that the judge tosses out this case, they literally make the argument that these PDF rumors existed long before Kendrick's Not Like Us, and Not Like Us wasn't actually saying Drake was a PDF. It was exaggerated truth. It was hyperbole. So unless UMG comes to court with like a lot more than just the internet rumors that we've already seen about Drake possibly, doing some weird things with some people he shouldn't be doing them with, then whatever the outcome of the case is, UMG's stance is that Not Like Us was exaggerated truth. It wasn't actually factual. I mean, even Kendrick on the song says Certified Lover Boy.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's some videos floating out there. Check this out, man. A lot of these big wigs, people who got money, and they sign these artists, they usually have some type of video or something to hang over their head so they won't leave. Like, say Drake searching for a mansion or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they put recorders in the walls or something like that. Some hidden cameras in his mansion or something like that. I think Chinese people did that to some Africans before. They was renting out something. I forgot how the story go. They was renting out some buildings, but they had recordings all in the building to see like to spy out their liberties and all of that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Boys certified PDFs. He uses the plural, implying that he's not specifically talking to Drake, cleverly avoiding any implication of defamation because, of course, again, he's not explicitly saying Drake is a PDF. I bring all this up because Vlad is saying that he's heard Drake has done some suspect things in the past, and people who were maybe a part of that were all paid off to stay silent. Unless UMG comes to court with some real evidence of, some suspect things that Drake has done in the past, I think the whole purpose of this lawsuit, Drake filing it to begin with, is to make sure that the world doesn't believe he's a PDF and that song doesn't open up the floodgates for potential victims to end up coming forward and for him to have a lot of, legal pressure on his hands. But let's look into that Calabasas era, right? That era where Drake was living in the Hidden Hills and
let's talk about this Hidden Hills situation.
What Vlad could potentially be referring to and what we already actually know. But first of all, breeds and gentlegrams, unlike Drake, a bunch of you guys have been telling me you've been Anita Max winning.
Y'all tap in with this game joint, scan the barcode if y'all trying to win some bread.
That house or that estate, I should say, on the market in 2022. I say estate because Drake had multiple properties in the area and they were allegedly designed for these massive parties. So let's look at this article from the Los Angeles Times, which details the different ventures Drake had in the real estate market within the Hidden Hills and how he was looking to actually exit out.
See, he about to break down the whole house and everything, what it's made for and all that. That's what we here for. Let's get it.
Of any of his properties within that region. So in February of 2022, Drake dropped $70 million on a home in Beverly Crest. He had apparently been looking for over a year for a house in that region, but about
$70 million lust addiction.
About a week after he actually bought that house, he went on a selling spree, selling 3 homes that he had in the community of the Hidden Hills for a combined total of $22.2 million. So it was 3 homes, and they call it a compound, essentially. It was like a massive plot of land with a bunch of different homes, and he had been compiling this compound for over a decade. He first bought an English Tudor-style mansion for $7.7 million in 2012. Then he bought the ranch right next to it for $2.85 million in 2015. 3 years later, he bought another neighboring ranch for $4.5 million. And with all these properties, he created a triple lot estate that spanned over 6.5 acres. The crown jewel of the compound, the big mansion within the area, was called the YOLO Estate. And according to the LA Times, Drake had transformed this into a party house during his stay. You could see here there's, this statue of this woman in a bikini. And listen to the description of this home. It's kind of funny, honestly. The home open.
So he messing with, he trying to beat off the statues and all that. He get turned on by statues, mannequins and all that.
Statue of this woman in a bikini. And listen to the description of this home. It's kind of funny, honestly. The home opens to 12.5 thousand square feet of dramatic spaces with 7 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, 6 fireplaces, a wine cellar, tasting room, bar, recording studio, and movie theater. So a lot of bedrooms, a lot of bathrooms, and hidden behind a bookshelf, the primary suite alone covers 2,000 square feet and tacks on 2 marble tubs. So Drake basically, in his main bedroom in this house, it was hidden behind a bookshelf. It's a massive bedroom, 2,000 square feet, so it could definitely fit Big Macus and Academics in there. And there was also 2 luxurious marble bathtubs. The article says the backyard is built for partying. Statues line a custom swimming pool complete with cascading waterfalls and an 80-foot rock water slide. Under the waterfalls, there's a grotto with TVs and a bar. There's a horse stable, a riding ring, a mechanical bull. And along with the main, YOLO estate, there was 3 houses kind of attached to it. So it was this whole compound. And he sold all 3 of those in 2022. But at the same time, he basically traded them in for this new home in Beverly Hills, which is more in the central LA area. And he actually put that Beverly Hills home on the market just a year later in 2023, about a year after he bought it, for $88 million. But as of 2025, the house actually remains unsold. So Drake still owns it, and it's available for rent for $250,000 per month. So he's not living there. He's trying to sell it. He's renting it out. Logically, probably not the best time for Drake to be living in LA, right? But now you can see with that home, there's these underground waterfalls with TVs and bars and statues of these half-naked women. There's the master bedroom with 2 marble bathtubs, and it's hidden behind the secret bookshelf. There's pools, there's water slides, there's tennis courts, there's horseback riding. This is like an estate, a compound that's meant for partying. That's why it's called the YOLO estate. Vlad is, emphasizing that this was the compound that a lot of funny business was going on in. I shouldn't even say funny business. I should say disgusting business. And essentially, this is where he at least heard, very allegedly, that people were paid off to stay silent about whatever Drake had going on at that house. And there were stories from around that time that if they didn't align with what Vlad's saying, they at least emphasized that Drake was doing a lot of partying with a lot of women at around that time. So Drake bought the house initially in 2012, but then expanded it to an entire compound by 2015. And this is where we saw he did a lot of partying. Kendrick referenced this on 616 in LA also, right? At the beginning of that song. And on a side note, stay tuned for all the 1-year anniversaries of every diss track from the Beef. I'll be, breaking each one of them down on this channel on their 1-year anniversaries. But on
that's going to be fire. That's going to be fire.
16 in LA, on the beginning of that song, he raps in Drake's perspective. Not necessarily about Drake's LA compound, but instead about the yachts that he bought and that he was taking out with a lot of different women. And of course, the song is called 616 in LA, which is a callback to all the timestamp records that Drake does, where he raps about his life of luxury, his current headspace, what's going on in his life at the moment. So Kendrick starts it off, Off-White Sunseeker at the marina. The Sunseeker is a yacht, and Kendrick follows that up rapping, F a phantom, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever. Around 2017 was when we saw Drake on a lot of yachts, specifically allegedly inviting Millie Bobby Brown on one of his yachts in 2017. I guess I don't really need to say allegedly, right? Like, she posted this picture in November of 2017 where she puts this camera emoji.
This the girl who was like, oh, I love you more. Oh, we talk. He tells me about boys. That's her right there.
To imply that Drake took the picture, you could see it's a yacht docked on a marina with a bunch of other yachts. The caption is Choose Kindness, photographed by Drake. She's laughing in the picture. I could only imagine this was Drake's yacht, taking a picture of Millie Bobby Brown on the yacht. We know that Millie Bobby Brown was asked about, her friendship with Drake. This is when I believe she was 14. She said they had a great friendship. She said that Drake gave her advice on dating and on boys. And she says when she's asked, what specifically do they talk about? She said that stays in the text messages. There's a lot of other layers to that Kendrick line. Again, we're going to review 616 in a couple weeks on its 1-year anniversary. That song is crazy, crazy layered. So stay tuned for that. But he makes some other callbacks to Drake's, party endeavors, his vanity-fueled lifestyle. I mean, talking about here alone, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever. Drake,
when everybody was getting those bars late, and we was figuring out, he talking about this in 16 LA. He's talking about this. Drake was getting all of it. He was getting all the layers to 616 in LA. Yeah, that was specifically for Drake. Yep. He got all of it. And best believe, he having nightmares still about this song. He just hoping like, damn, I hope the audience don't figure this bar out right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kendrick is a mastermind when he made, he's a mastermind, but that 616 in LA was something crucial. Definitely something crucial. I can't wait till Rapaholics do the 1-year anniversary of the Beef songs. That's gonna be fire. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this, because he about to start cooking some more. Yeah, he about to start cooking some more. I'm behind on videos, so I gotta go ahead and make some more joints. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Shout out to Rapaholics. Big Kish signing out. I'm gone, y'all.